Hey, this is the R.A.M experience. Nobody thought it could come to pass. God did. And we're so excited about it. Inside you'll find we have the R.A.M Cafe where you can get sandwiches, you can have coffee. There is candy, there are muffins and snacks that are available for you. And then we also have our vendors that are set up, but you got to be a part of the ministry. We've got apparel that's back there. We've got bracelets that are back there. We've got t-shirts that are back there. All types of things. You just got to come to experience the R.A.M experience.
Sometimes we kind of run in and run out of church and we don't get a chance to just sit down and have a cup of coffee or a sandwich or a piece of cake with one another and just to get to know one another. And that's what New Hope is all about. It's about friends, family, and love, and we love fellowship.
I'm so excited to be a part of this inaugural season of the R.A.M experience. I would admonish any business owners, if you want to get your products in the hands of people, join the R.A.M ministry. And also, if you're not a member of the church, speak to someone so that you can be a part of this amazing ministry and then venture off and become a business owner as well.
Well, hey, good evening, everybody. You know what time it is. That's right. It is that time for our R.A.M talk on tonight. It's going to be great. Listen, I need you to let everybody know, hey, Bishop is on tonight, and I'm not on by myself. It's going to be an incredible encounter. I need you to go ahead and like, share our page, let everybody know, let your friends know, especially those that you have know that are pastors or lay members in the church. I want you to let them know. It is so good to see Sister Donna is on, Carnicia is on, Sister Pamela is on. Good evening, good evening. We're in for a treat. We're in for a treat. We are broadcasting on many platforms tonight. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube tonight. It's going to be a great time. And of course, hey, you know I'm not on here by myself. I've got some incredible giants in the kingdom of God that is on here with us on tonight. So it's going to be a great time of good conversation. And good to see Sharice on with us tonight. And that's right. Thank you, Carnicia, for reminding me. Hey, please, I need you to go out and follow R.A.M Ministries. That's right. Go to your social media platform. Please follow R.A.M Ministries. Would you do that for me tonight? Good to see Emily on with us tonight. Angela, hey, good to see you back with us again on tonight. We're in for a treat. It's going to be a great topic, great conversation tonight. We're going to start to talk about mental health, and we're going to talk about stress and burnout that some pastors experience. It's going to be a great conversation. So again, hey, I'm not on here alone. Good to see Angela Carr, and just so good to see so many people on with us tonight. And Pastor Darren Monroe is on. I was hoping he would join us tonight. And good to see you, sir. If you can jump on with us. It's not too late. But so good to see so many of it on with us tonight. So, hey, listen, we're going to get into it. Let's get into our R.A.M discussion on tonight. Hey, first, we're going to bring up my friend and my brother that is, we like to call him a R.A.M member, and that is Apostle James Thomas. We thank God for seeing him on tonight. Apostle, how you doing, man?
Blessings, sir. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, Apostle, I don't see you with no black and gold on tonight, and looked like it wasn't a good day for y'all yesterday. Perhaps I don't know what's going on, Apostle.
Hey, man, this is the way the season starts, Doc. This is the way it starts. And we got a motto in Pittsburgh: "It's not how you start; it's how you finish."
All right. I love it.
Yeah,
Man,
we got
so good to see you.
we got to get our
Uh,
new quarterback in, but we there. We there.
you're there. You're there.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. Hey, let's go all the way up to the Poconos, where God lives at, and let's get Dr. Kenneth L. Pearman in. Bishop, how you doing tonight, sir? How are you?
I'm doing very good. You keep talking like that, your peach tree is not gonna make it into Buckhead.
Wow.
Oh, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Listen, blessing to all of you. Hey, we're going to also bring on Bishop Tracy Pitts with us tonight, and his first time on with us tonight. So we're going to bring him in. And Bishop, how are you? How are you, Bishop? You got your mic on. Your mic is muted, Bishop.
I'm trying to learn this thing and say the right things. I had to mute myself first. I'm figuring this thing out.
All right. Well,
But
good evening to
but
you.
I'm here. I am here. Bless you, sir. Bless you all. Matter of fact, all of you. Bless you.
Well, good to have you. Listen, Bishop, I've had Bishop Pearman on. Apostle Thomas has been on a couple of times. This is your first
Okay.
time on with us tonight. So go ahead and tell people where your ministry is and how they can find you and all that kind of stuff before we go forward.
Well, grace and peace to all. It's an honor. Thank you, Bishop Leapart, for even considering me. It's an honor to be on with you, definitely, and with your previous host, your previous guest. I am Bishop Tracy Pitts, pastor of Kingdom Culture Ministry, located at 1352 Martin Nash Road in the Lilburn area. And God is just doing a new thing out here for us, and we're just really excited about what's happening. I thank God for our outreach, our sports ministry that has really gotten off the ground now. And so our outreach to the community, getting these kids and the parents, that is the strategy God has given us to get his word out. And we're just excited about it. We're excited about this new endeavor. You know, you've been doing this thing for so long, and then God takes you down a different pathway in a different community. Just when you want to wind down, God wants to wind you up. So we're excited. We're built for the challenge and the charge, and we thank God for what he's doing. We're ready to go.
Awesome. Well, blessings again to you. And again, all of you that are coming on, please like and share our page on tonight. Hey, listen, I want to get into the subject at hand tonight. We really want to talk tonight about mental health, and I want to talk a little bit tonight about the stress of pastoring. You know, many people, Apostle Thomas, think about pastoring, the glitz and the glare of it. And I was just reading a statistics today that says a clergy health study shows that many ministry stress is causing decline in the physical and the mental health of pastors. And it also talks about here when I begin to do my research, it talks about why are pastors quitting, and it says two common reasons to tie the pastors that quit their church. 26% left because of conflict in the church, 13% because they were in poor fit of the church, and many dealt with just the stress of doing ministry. And I think all of us have been around and done ministry long enough to have dealt with the stress of it. So good to see Pastor Monroe come on with us tonight as well. So, Apostle, I'm going to throw the ball to you first tonight. And so we think about mental health and we think about resting. One of the things I guess I wanted to ask tonight is this. And remember, one of the things that Bishop Long would often share with us is this: he would encourage us to have Monday as our Sabbath, as a day of rest. You know, that would be the day to rest. And but I find myself, and my wife has to remind me constantly that I'm not resting. I'm still doing ministry, still doing stuff. You know, what are some of the things you do to find rest or to deal with the stress of ministry? What are some things you do to find rest or to deal with the stress of ministry? Or what would you share with another pastor about it?
Well, I concur with Bishop. My late father would stress the same thing: is after you have dealt with God's people and fed them on Sunday, then you need to have some shutdown time, which is on Monday. And like you, most of the time when you're dedicated to your ministry and you're really trying to make sure God's people needs are being met, many of time we forget about the needs of ourselves to meet the needs of the people, and we will find ourselves giving up that day of rest to do certain things. So what I have done is I utilize my team. I have a team in place, and I make sure I utilize my team. And so on Mondays, if there's issues that need to be handled, uh, my calls go through my administrator, and her and my team make sure that day of rest takes place. And so those calls now are diverted from myself to my son, and he takes on that challenge to make sure that we have that time. And I believe that that is a time where we serve our community on Monday, but that's something that if I want to partake I can, but it's not a mandate. I do believe that we have to find that time where sometimes that we just find ourselves laying in the bed and just getting that downtime, getting that rest, and even just kind of detoxing our minds of what we have dealt with the day before, what we got to deal with going forward in the week, and preparing ourselves. I even think it's very important, Bishop, that we do develop those relationships with our brothers, that we have those conversations on Monday to discuss what took place on Sunday, and not being ashamed to say, hey man, I think I stunk it up, man. Can you go back and look at my video and see what you think? Or how did it go? You spoke to me the other day, and me and you were just talking, and you were like, man, boy, you preached so hard Sunday. And it blessed me because I didn't know you had been on and looking at my video, but somewhere you seen it. You got to have those conversations, man. You got to have somebody that you can trust. And I get it. In this day and time, man, it's hard to find people to really, really trust that have your best interest. So I'm glad to meet Bishop Pierman. I can't wait to get out there where God lives, and just God that we're meeting, man. You got to have that.
Awesome.
You know what? Hearing Bishop Pierman talk, man, it reminds me of some of the things my father would say. So we have to find times, and I just want to say it this way: as men of God, when we find those men that God has placed in our heart, we have to be in a place where we're not ashamed to reach out to them.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Oh, dude, he got stuck again, I think. Yeah. Bishop, while he's stuck, let me ask you a question. I want to throw the ball to you. Apostle, we can't hear you. Apostle Thomas, can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't
You
hear
probably
him.
got to go out and come back in. Bishop Pierman, I want to ask you, and because we can't see Bishop Pitts at all now, he's dark.
Oh
I
yeah,
want to ask
I'm driving.
Bishop Pierman tonight. So when you think about the whole mental health and getting rest and things like that, what are some? This is Clergy Appreciation Month. What are some ways then that you would tell a church that it could be a blessing to its pastor in ways of making things easier? Or what advice would you give to a ministry to help to take some of the stress off of a pastor? You know, because I was thinking about Paul's letter to the church there at Ephesus, and he talks about the pastor really being in a good, healthy place mentally, so that he or she is able to minister a word that will be beneficial to the body when they come in, that they've rested, they're not having issues at home, but they're rested and they're ready to go. But what would you share to the people tonight about getting a pastor into that space?
Well, this is going to be the best one for all of us as pastors. If they really want to bless us, be present and accounted for. The
Wow.
president
Wow.
accounted for and participants and making themselves become more of a, it'll come back, that thought left me, but being president accounted for is one of the most important things they could do. That lifts the burden off of us immediately, because when we know we have people we can count on that are present and accounted for, fulfilling their duties or their calling that they've been called into, that makes a load a lot lighter on any pastor just beginning or been in it for years, because once you know that that's taken care of, that gives you a rest in your spirit. I got the right people in the right places. Their accountability. They're accountable to making sure they complete a project or the projects. I have a congregation who wants to see me rest, and they prove that by participating and making sure that we meet our obligations, our weekly obligations, monthly obligations, because that's one of the things that stress us out. Let's not, you know, play with this. You know, mentally we become challenged by some of the things we're challenged with, other than our own personal things we have to deal with, is what we want to make sure that the church is yet standing. So when they're present and accounted for, and they're giving of themselves to help us to know that they're in our corners, that gives us rest. Secondly, I always tell people, you know, you learn your pastor. If you sit around them long enough, you sit up under them long, you'll learn what that need is. And sometimes it's a gas card. You say, oh, they don't need no gas card. Look what they drive. You better know we need a gas card. Okay.
Right, 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 right,
A
right,
gas card, a card for certain pastors. There are challenges, and hey, get them a. I don't know what super y'all use, Kroger's and all of those, but whether it's Kroger's or ShopRite or whatever the supermarket is, give them a card that allows them to go buy what they want to buy for groceries and not you buy it for them all the time. You know what I'm saying? There are things that you can do that can make them know that they're appreciated by you. That makes a big difference. I'm not one big on them buying clothes and stuff for me, because I just, you know, I'm a big dude, and they'll have me look like Batman with a Robin outfit. You know what I'm saying? And you can't, and you can't,
yeah. Oh
you
man, that's
you know,
good.
and I'm just sincerely saying that. So a lot of things you can do is be present and accounted for in your place. Always be reliable to the best of your ability. That helps us church wise. Personally, when we get away from the church, we have to just shut everything else out and spend some me time first. Me time first will help you to have good family time. Me time to take care of me, deal with some things that I need to deal with, and then I can have some good family time with others.
Man, you said a lot right there. Get to know your pastor. I remember early on in ministry, and that people would always, for appreciations and things like that, I would get so many mugs of what would Jesus do. I would get all kind of crosses and pins and things like that. I mean, they were buying, and you know, you don't want to hurt people's feeling to tell them, hey, I've got enough mugs. Maybe turn that mug into, like you said, a gas card, a Starbucks card, to get to know who your pastor is and really what would be a blessing to him, and what wouldn't be a blessing. And you know, because a lot of times people get offended if they buy you a tie, you didn't wear the tie, or if you've been pastoring as long as some of us have. You know, the last thing we probably need at this juncture is another clergy robe or something to wear on Sunday, when that money could really be put to something else. And so, Bishop Pitts, now that you've kind of gotten settled, and because we didn't want to put you under the stress of driving and try to pay attention to us, I want to see what you would add to the conversation with this segue. After 21 years of pastoring, this year, Bishop, um, my anniversary, my 34th wedding anniversary, fell on a Saturday. We were away in Aruba, and we would have been traveling back on my anniversary, Apostle Thomas, because Bishop Pierman, we would always take vacations in between Sundays. You hear me well. And here, as of late, my wife is saying, you know, we always leave on Saturday morning. We never get to know what's happening Saturday night, yada, yada, yada. And just so happened, we'd have been traveling this year on our anniversary. And so I surprised her. We didn't fly back to Sunday afternoon. And so Bishop Pitts, I know you're getting ready for a cruise and things like that. Currently coming up next month, you and your wife. And so, what would you say to a young pastor about that, being able to sincerely take a vacation and not have the phone up to your head on Sunday, not trying to see what's going on Sunday, but take a true vacation?
Uh, I am so glad you brought me in on this segment because this is what I teach after. I'm around 21 years as well. We started Light of the World Chicago in 1999 on the South Side. And I thank God for my late father in the ministry, the late Archbishop Jimmy Smith, because one thing he kept in mind was he used to always tell me, he said, son, I'm going to die doing this. So don't die doing it.
Mm.
You ain't going to save every soul. You can't, folk going to be right here and fall out, and they're going to be done, you've been done fell out, and they'll still be doing what they were doing before you fell out. He said, so I want you to keep this always in mind. Balance. Balance. This is not your church.
Wow.
This is God's church.
Wow. Wow.
These ain't your people.
Wow.
They're God's people. He's responsible, not you.
Wow. 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 That's powerful.
This is not your church. Stop saying this is your church. It's not. This is God's church. This is God's people. So guess who's responsible? God is. You're not. And Bishop always was gone. I said, Bishop, how you? But he trained, and Apostle said this about his team. We were trained. We were trained to keep things going while he was away. He was doing 7-day revival. Back then they were doing, the 5-day revivals. I said, Bishop, you going all the time. He said, no, you know why I go on revivals? Because I rest during the day. I go play golf. I don't think about them folks until it's time because I have balance. When church was over, Bishop wouldn't let us talk about church. We going bowling. We going to the movie. I don't want to hear nothing about no church. Don't mention church. I don't hear nothing about it. Don't let church consume you. And so vacation time, he taught me as a pastor, you need to be away because being away, psychologically, they appreciated you when you were there.
Mm.
He said, you know why some people take you for granted and think you're God? Because you're always in their face. So those are some of the psychological things and I saw it work. So, I mean, you were just saying it, but because I was his armor bearer, because he was bringing me up in ministry, these were the behind the scenes conversations that we had. Because I had questions, but those are all things to save himself. He would take off in the month of November and be gone, or he'll have somebody preach the whole month, and guess what? He wouldn't preach. He said, I'm resting. And I had to even, as a new pastor, even questioning the balance, I learned because I tried to be disobedient. I'm just gonna be honest. I said, no, they need me. Oh, I gotta be there. Oh, Bishop, he's an old preacher. He just that. But the things that he taught me, I say every day today, I implemented every last one of them because I saw him enjoy ministry and ministry not kill him based upon his balance. And that's what I was sure. When he went on vacation, he was gone the whole week. And who was scheduled to do Bible study? They were going to do Bible study. And all those preachers that wanted opportunities that was within the house, he put them to work. Okay, you preach a Sunday. And sometimes you wouldn't know until Sunday. He always tell us, you better be ready. I might call on you. And that's how I started ministry in Jamaica as an armor bearer, thought I was going to serve. And he walked into the pulpit and I put his Bible up there, and he told me, "Excuse me, you preaching." In the midst of a service, and the Holy Spirit said, "Just preach what you've been teaching," and that's how I, started. But it was all about the balance, Bishop, that he taught us, and that leave church. You're gonna die doing this, so don't die doing it.
Got it. Got it. Man, that's good. I'm laughing. That's good because Apostle Thomas was saying his father would do the same thing to them on Sunday morning. And they had no idea, who was going to be preaching. And you just had to be ready to rock and roll. And Bishop Pitts brought up some incredible topics to Apostle Thomas and Bishop Pierman. And he talked about balance. And I want to kind of talk about, how do you find a balance? And then he talked about how the late Archbishop Jimmy Lee Smith enjoyed golfing. And so many pastors, you ask them, well, what do you enjoy doing? And a lot of times I get the deer in the headlight look. And can I be transparent? I was that guy once upon a time that didn't know really what I enjoy. A lot of times people that are married, we say things like happy wife, happy life, and those things, but you really find out really what you enjoy doing that kind of that gives you an outlet, that gives you a way to release stress. To even to a ministry worker in the church, to a minister, elder, maybe he's the executive pastor, assistant pastor. What would you say to them? How do you create balance? And how does that person find out what they enjoy doing outside of ministry? Apostle Thomas, Dr. Pierman.
Well, I believe in the fundamental rule, though I don't follow it myself most of the time. I'm one of those men of God that I find it hard to miss a Sunday service. And my wife and I, we'll go on vacation, and I'll tell her we're scheduled to be there until Monday morning. And somehow she always knows I'm up early in the morning. That's why now when we go on vacation, she tried to put us on a cruise or take us way out somewhere that we got to fly back. Because if we driving, it's just funny. We was in Savannah once. We just took a vacation to Savannah. And I told her, I said, yeah, baby, we're going to be gone until Monday morning. And and Sunday morning around 3:00, she just happened to turn over, and I'm over there ironing. I'm ironing my clothes and ironing her clothes at 3 a.m. in the morning. And she said, what are you doing? I just know you're not doing what I think you're doing. Why are you ironing a white shirt? We're chilling. We're going to the beach today. And I said, well, just go along with the plan. And before you know it, we was back in Atlanta at the church. But I do believe that it's very important. I do tell my team, my pastors, my leaders, when you go on vacation, I want you to go on vacation from Monday to Monday. I want you to get your full 7 days in. I'm not going to call you. I do have a very strong policy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's out. Bishop Pierman,
he's going where I would say, here he comes.
He's going to have to go out and come back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to go out and come back in. Come on, Bishop Pierman.
Okay.
He goes out.
All right, I want to say this. I believe in telling. Also, I tell when our people go away, the leaders go away in our church on vacation, they'd be glad to testify about that. Nobody's to call them. Nobody's to call them at all. We don't call them about what's going on in the church. We try to get all that stuff straight as much as we can before they leave, so they can have that time to themselves and their family. But I just want to triple around on something that's very important to some young pastor that's coming in. I want you to note this. This is very important. What you've heard the pastors say thus far, remember, they vested time into this. They had to build up and train people to be able to fill in those spots. They just didn't come in talking about, I'm going to take me a 2-week vacation and not be there, because you have to be there You got to put the time in that the people will know your voice. They got to know your voice so the others won't come in and lead them astray. I just need to put that in there for some young pastors. Say, I knew he was right. I ain't got no business being in here every Sunday. I'm going to do, you have to pay your dues, okay? You got to put your time in. Just let me say that just for the sake of just making sure for that young pastor who's listening, who wants to piggyback off of something that we're saying, we are vested in this. I'm 31 years into pastoring and 45 years into ministry. So there's a lot of investment that's in this. So when we say to you that we are going to balance this out by taking time, we've already set up the things we need to set up. We've trained some people that need to be in place. And that's very important for you to know. You got to raise them up and train them so that while you're going, they can make sure that everything runs according to what you've given out. I just had to say that because I can hear a young pastor in my mind going, yeah, I'm going to do just what he said, just the way he said it, because that's what they told him. I know it because I won't do it, especially if you're a founding pastor. I didn't say that. Go ahead.
No, that's good. You're good. You're good. You keep going. Apostle Thomas is back with us. You want to finish?
Yeah. So the bottom line is, to fast forward that, what I enjoy doing and what we should enjoy doing, we have to learn that. I just learned this past Friday. I told my wife we had not been out on a date in so long because we just been really, as Bishop Pierman said, doing ministry and developing leaders because, you know, I'm getting ready next year to place my son as the campus pastor. So I've been working hard this year to make sure everything is ready to go for him, that we have not even taken time to go out on a date. So Friday, I told her, hey, we shutting it down. Her and I, we went out to a place called something putt stuff or putt something. And it's in Atlanta. And we played a game of putt. We ate lunch, man. We just spent the whole day just relaxing and chilling and just enjoying each other. And that is so important because ministry is stressful. It's very stressful. And God did not mean for us to do it by ourselves. But as Bishop Pierman said, you have to build your team. And when you are building a ministry from the ground up, we built Chosen Generation from the ground up. We didn't get nobody to give us a silver spoon and say, here's your building and here's you this. Everything you see from Chosen Generation came from the ground up. And so you have to build sons and daughters to the point that where when they see you, they know how you operate. I got a policy at Chosen, and I live by this. I will never, ever ask anyone in my ministry to do anything that I have not first completed myself. I mean, from the smallest thing to the largest thing. I never ask them to do anything that I have not done myself, simply because you need to make sure they don't come back saying it won't work. You need to be able to tell them it does work. And so building that, it builds character in the people that you are growing. They learn how to operate under you. So mental health in the body of Christ is very, very important. Your people that you're raising up under you have to be tried and true because, as you said last week, Bishop, there are pastors committing suicide. There are pastors walking away. They're quitting. And it's hard when you have trained up a son or daughter and they ease out on you, or they just quit on you, or they just go somewhere else. And so you have to have your mind right, and you got to have team members. Once again, I'm going to go back to this point again. You got to have pastors around you in your circle that you can be vulnerable with and tell the truth to.
Man, that's
that
good.
love you enough that will keep your conversation between you and him. And I know that's hard to find now, but there are pastors out here that you can pick up your phone and say, Doc, listen, this is not one of my best days today, man. And I need to have a conversation. And that's one of the main things that will get you over the hurdle, because you don't realize how good you feel. As Bishop said once before, he was teaching at my church once, and he was saying, leaders, you have to learn how to vent up, not down. Because once you vent down, you can't go back and get that respect back from that. And so we have to learn that we have those men of God in our circle that we feel comfortable enough to speak with and be vulnerable with. Because if you can't be vulnerable, pressure is like electricity. If
Mm,
it go in the body, it's coming out somewhere. Stress
wow.
is going to come out. So that's one of the main things I would say outside of getting rest and getting the balance is have somebody in your circle that you really can trust, that you really can call a brother that you can talk to and be vulnerable with. Got to have that.
That's powerful what you said right there about, and that's my statement is, a lot of times, pastors and leaders, they spit venom across the pulpit because they're venting to people or in leadership meetings, and they're smothering the people that follow them because they don't understand really what they're saying. They don't understand the
Right.
pressure, nor they
Right.
understand what you're dealing with. So
Hmm.
you're right, you got to vent up to somebody that can understand what you're dealing with and
Hmm.
how to help you. So because a lot of times people look at us out of a different set of lens, and I think you got to be careful. Sometime, I put something out there this week. I put a statement out about familiarity brings contentment, meaning people become sometimes too familiar with you, and it'll bring contentment, as Bishop Pitt said, where the respect is not there anymore.
Right.
And the amazing thing is this. I'll be working on some of this next month, and I know some of my people in here, so they get a little segue into it. The amazing thing is, if we all would agree, it's most of the time miracles and the supernatural happens in our church a lot of times by the newer people and not the older people.
Woo.
Their trajectory of how they see us, that they become so familiar with us that it's hard for them to receive even a word that you speak. And I'm
Yes.
not saying that's everywhere, but God showed me that. And a lot of the newer people that come, like they're hungry and they'll grab it because they have not gotten that familiar with you. And I
Right.
will even go further to say people have gotten so familiar with God and ministry that now we just do anything. We'll cuss folk out in the church. We act a fool in the church. I mean, because we don't, there's no more, when I came along, there was a respect for the church grounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ain't play certain kind of music. I mean, you ain't cuss on the church ground. You just smoke on the church ground. You go across the street. But now people do there's no more respect there for God's man or for the people. But I will say too that I think our approach to the text sometimes has to change in the way that people see us. That we don't give them a license to do and say certain things. You know what I mean? I think
Hmm.
we got to change sometime even our vernacular uh,
Hmm.
because I think sometimes to get a point across, we can use words to jar people or to make people realize that we're human or whatever the case may be. But I think we as pastors have to be careful with that. So in saying all that you said, Apostle, and talking about some of the things that you just dealt with, and as we move forward, Bishop Pierman, Bishop Pitts, when we think about finding, what you want to do, when we think about the stress of church, what would you say to so members don't? One of the things I know that causes stress, I think Bishop Pitts brought it up, is, or maybe it was Bishop Pierman, about dealing with even budgets and financing. The amazing thing is, and I know all of us probably dealt with this, whether you moved into a new building, you bought something, and the people say, I'm with you. And then all of a sudden, now you're halfway into a loan. You just got the loan. You just made the commitment with the intentions of people being with you. And now all of a sudden, their season is up. God's calling you somewhere else now. And now you're stuck there with this bill. The stress is coming because now you're not tithing and you made a commitment that you were going to stay. But now because, you didn't get your way about something, you're going to put your finger up. And, my season is up. How would you share, or what would you share to the people about that? Let's talk to that. Let's talk to some of the lay members that's on here today to be able to help a pastor from that standpoint. That because a lot of times the truth of the matter be told, we spend a lot of times Wow, this is good. Holy Spirit goes to help just said this to me. It's amazing to me, and I'm gonna be very transparent, that in the black church, when we deal with giving and offering, it becomes so stressful and we get venom spit back at us from the pew. But in the Caucasian church, if you will, giving seems to be so fluid. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's given, and people, oh, well, so and so don't talk about giving and all that time at his church, and you talk, and I say back to them, well, he ain't a problem over there. Nobody don't talk about it. We got a problem here. You got what I'm saying? And I don't know about y'all, but it seems to me when I have a crowd, that's when my giving is down. I don't know if everybody said, well, there's a lot of people here. I ain't gonna give as much, but I know they got it today. So Bishop Pierce, what would you say to them to the people in the pews about that? Like the stress of that part of it, man. Because Georgia Power, Bishop Pierce, they are not giving. I don't know what y'all have up in the Poconos. Maybe God just gives y'all light automatically. But council like that down here, we got to pay them folk, and you don't pay them, they cut you off. They'll cut your gas off. You call speaking in tongues, they'll cut you off.
Yeah, they will.
Talk to me, Bishop Pierman. Talk to the
people. Well, I'm going to tell you, for me, and actually I brought this from the Midwest region because people are different per region. And I thank God for having the ability to pastor in multiple regions. I never asked for 100% tithers. Somebody asked for. I asked God to give me 100% people with a job. And when I got people in that region on the fact that, hey, I need you working, and I helped them find jobs, and I helped them get employed, and I helped them get to where they were trying to go. I helped them get houses. I helped them get their bills paid. And I deal with them from a more practical standpoint that, hey, bro, you're not buying my house. Hey, bro, you're not necessarily taking care of me. I need to take care. If you take care of the church first and then me second, we're good. And that worked. That worked. Everybody had a job. Man, they were bringing their time. They were excited about giving because they had it. They were excited about supporting the ministry because I dealt with them from very, very practical standpoint. I put every bill out there. I put what this cost. I was very transparent in our budget. I let them handle it. I let my mothers, now the mothers raise money for me, but I got the people to give for the ministry. And my mothers said, hey, you cannot have a man of God like this. Now, mind you, let's be clear here, because I want to make sure our audience understands. There's a difference between a pastor that has planted a work and a pastor that's been hired to do a work. Okay, so when we get in these discussions, I said, hold on, bro. Hold on. Dewey Smith is a hired pastor. He gets paid to pastor that church. All right? Jamal Bryant brought in, all these folks y'all love, y'all see on social media, some of these spaces. These guys are hired. They got these folks that got business people that say, guess what? We paying this man to do this. So we don't play by some of the same rules.
Wow.
All right?
Wow.
My mortgage on my house may have had been mortgage to pay the church bills. I got another business that pays the church bills because I planted the work. So it's my responsibility. So there's a different dynamic. I tell we all get to talking and play games. Oh no, bro. No. This is, you wonder why TD Jakes is all over the place, because that's a planted work. So he got to be on the TV show. He got to be producing movies. He got to be trying to direct shows with Tyler Perry, because that's the kind of money he needs to run the Potter's House, because that's his planted work.
Wow, that's good, Bishop.
Okay, so that's what we did, Bishop. We got out and I got people jobs, and so they felt obligated now to bring an offering. They felt, oh yes, because I help them along the way, and in me helping them and deal with it practically, that's why other people be able to support the ministry overwhelmingly. And that's somewhat of the same approach we have here. But Bishop Lee Part has taught me, teach your folks how to also give. So in this culture, I've combined it with spiritual and biblical purposes of what you're supposed to do to be blessed to give to your leader. And also, I've kept my practical approach that, hey, guess what? We got bills to pay, y'all. Let's get it done.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Bishop Pierman, you want to jump in there? That's good, Bishop Pitts. That's real good.
Listen, Bishop Pitts, you hit a lot of things right on the head, and I want to say that. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
You hit it right on the head. And again, I want to say again to some new pastor, female, male pastor, matter, no gender. You starting out with this, you have to know your region. You have to know who you're dealing with and your people. And I want to bring this out. He said again, I was able to teach the people. I was living by example by helping them find work so they would have something to bring back to the house. They saw the example being brought forth, so they were glad to give. Now, in my parts of the woods, where you may not have that kind of a problem that I have, I made the biggest mistake I could ever make in my life. And that was, I was trying to be the best pastor that you could ever be and do the things that other pastors were not doing. I think we all have tried to do that.
Yes.
And one of the things I did was I forgot about what it took to take care of the leader, because I sacrificed myself to make sure everything was taken care of for the church, which also meant I was sacrificing my family stuff too, because they was trying to sow into me, and I was taking what I got and gave it back to the church. And I was working 2 full-time jobs because I'm a starter. I started the ministry from the ground up. That's why we can say that. If you're able to come into a church and they hired you to come in, there's a different ball game of playing, and that's a whole different thing. We're gonna hit that up one day about how y'all need to stop messing up people's vision and learn how to build on the platform of the vision and extend what has already been there. We'll come back to that. I know Bishop Leader will like that. To say that I wish what I had done is that I had not only taught them the power of what it was to give and to support and take care of the work of the church, but what it was to take care of the leader who was feeding you the food to make sure that the church could be taken care of. That's my downfall. And I always say a repentant prayer for that, because sometimes we try to be the best pastor. And most of the pastors that we've had on here, Bishop Leapart, have been men after and women after God's own heart. Men, because maybe men on here, but there are women that are on there that have that's after God's own heart also. And they have sacrificed everything to be the best pastor, to not be like all the other pastors and rape the people of everything, take their money, use all kinds of gimmicks and everything to get it, but to try to be straightforward and work it. And a lot of times they exclude what God would want them to do, is how to take care of themselves. And that's where I know I missed it. Like you said, you had the mothers that were raising the money for you while you took care of showing how to take care of the church. That's where I missed it at. And I would encourage any pastor who is starting out to make sure you get some people in that are seasoned saints. There you go. They know what it is to help build a church that will help you to stand through the trials and tests and error of building ministry that will be able to bless the house and also bless you back.
Man, that's good. Look, you and Bishop Pitts, y'all started something there with the whole idea of the difference in a pastor that started a work and a pastor that's hired in for work, and helping the people. Because I'm seeing comments on here of some things that people are saying, and I see Minister Sabrina put on here, planet work. That's good. So let's talk a little bit more about that, like the differences of Bishop Pierman talked, and I know Apostle Thomas, I know Bishop Pitts could talk about the sacrifices it takes early on of your family, your finances, your resources, all of that. And then you got people that come along and will say, well, you shouldn't have all of that, or that's too much, or this is too that. And because I know all of us done had that. You done heard that before. You done heard those things. You done heard those whispers and, well, so and so ain't doing this. So there's a difference in a plan at work. There's a difference in somebody that hires you on and pay you $100,000, $200,000 a year, housing allowance, car allowance, and yada yada yada. You're gonna give you this. It's almost like working at corporate America.
No doubt about it. Exactly what it is.
You know what I mean?
That's
So
exactly what it is.
it's different, and because so y'all come on, Pastor Thomas, somebody y'all jump in, talk to the people about that. The differences, Bishop. I know you ready to go, Bishop Pierre. All y'all ready to go. So somebody jump in. We got about 10 minutes left. Jump in. Let's talk. Talk to me.
Well, I would say like this, Bishop. I said not too long ago when I drove my Maserati to church, and I said what some of the naysayers were saying, like, you're a pastor, what you need with a Maserati? Well, the bottom line is, y'all talked about me when I was riding around in the Explorer, when I was sacrificing buying a new car, and I was taking the money that I will put on a car note and putting that in the church because it's a planet work. And so that money had to go into the church. I couldn't buy a car or the car that I wanted. It was a sacrifice. And the hard part is when you have spent the 10, 15 years developing, building, sacrificing, when you finally get to the point where God has blessed you with a people that will stop and say, what do you want? You've been sacrificing. What do you want? And as soon as you start to reap a little bit, I said a little bit of what you deserve, now you're starting to hear, y'all pastors, y'all living too lavish. Y'all doing too much. But y'all ain't saying that when you're going to these concerts and they riding up in Rolls Royces and all that stuff, you still paying. Matter of fact, some of y'all taking your tithe money and going to the concert. So we ain't talking about that. Why is it always a problem that you're not a man of God unless you're living in poverty? Where is that in the Bible? Where is that the man of God has to live in poverty? And I just say it is a sacrifice. My kids sacrificed and my wife sacrificed. But I will say this. Let me just end it with this part right here. God blesses the sacrifice because watch this. My kids were teens, were youth and teens when we were building the ministry. My son is about to become the campus pastor. And because he's seen the sacrifices, he started the ministry of sowing back into the man of God. He started it by sowing, him and his wife. They started sowing first and saying, hey, I know the sacrifices that y'all made. I lived it. And so it is something that has to be taught, that poverty does not mean you're anointed. You don't have to be lack to say you're anointed. And I just believe that it's a different day now. I'm gonna stop right there and I'm gonna let the other men of God share.
Come on, y'all. We got about 5 minutes.
Go ahead, Pitts. Go ahead.
I just want to say to the people that I'm very competitive, and so I wasn't trying to start the church. To be very honest, I wasn't trying to do this. It was my bishop that said, "Go to Chicago and start the work." And because I loved him, what he saw in me, I didn't see in myself. But I was determined not to let him down. So through athletics and what I was doing, the people wanted me to start the work. So that's how we started. It was the bishop, it was the people, and I was in the middle. And Bishop said, didn't give me no plan. He just said, it's all in you, son. Just go. And so I began to build the people first. So we started in my house. We went from my house to the garage. We started sharing space with other churches. They started putting us out because I had more people in their building, and their folks was coming to my service. So they put me out, and the people said, let's go get a building. So my situation was a tad bit different. My people, I was riding around in a van. I had a 5-passenger van picking people up. That was the car. That was the car I had. It was my people said, you know what, Pastor Pitts, man, it's time for us to put you in something else. I'm tired of you riding around in that van. Let somebody else drive the van. So they bought me the Porsche. Then we went from that to the BMW. They moved me to Sauk Village and said, okay, you know what? Now I was bivocational, but it was the church funds that they set on their own because God was just blessing like that. So I want to share that as you build the people, fortunately for me, the people built me. The people helped me. My struggle in the in this region is trying to tap into that mindset, trying to build people and not sell people a dream. And I think here, and I hate to say it this way, I just being transparent. You got to sell people a dream instead of reality. They want something way over here when I want to give them reality. So I'm trying to figure out how to capture that of building the people. And then once you build the people had no problem with what I was driving because they was paying for it. They had a problem giving me a cell phone. Cell phones didn't even exist back then, but guess what? Pastor Pitts had a cell phone because guess what? They wanted to reach me. I said, well, don't worry about the car. Don't worry about the house note. I'll take care of that. Y'all get the car and y'all buy me a cell phone. Them folks bought me a cell phone. I was one of the only pastors where I remember a cell phone because my members wanted to reach me. So if anybody else called me on my cell phone and said, how you get this number? You get this is my church phone. So that was the difference for me in that particular region is that I built the people up and the people honestly took care of me in ways that I still sometimes, I'm still kind of surprised, but I understand that I built them up and that's kind of how we got to where we are.
Oh, that's
And I'm going to be real good with this. I'm going to say, if you are a pastor who is being brought into a work that has already been established, I want to give you a couple of great lessons that you need to remember. That woman or that man of God who put the time in and built that strong vision took time to lay out a platform. And that platform was built for such a time that you may come and to build upon what is already there and establish it and cause it to go even further. You cannot ever assume that the people that are in there don't know anything, don't understand anything, too dumb to understand anything, and you came with all the right words to say they need to grow from there, because that work that was built, that vision that was laid, that foundation that was sown and laid there was laid for a time for those people at that time. They were trusting God and they saw what that man or woman saw, and they were able to build that church, that ministry to the place that it's in.
That's
Your
good.
responsibility is to come in and learn the background of that vision. Learn what took that vision to click, because remember, you're building a vision. And one day you're not going to be here to see it all the way through. And you would hate for somebody to come in and uproot everything that you taught the people and told them how dumb they didn't know nothing, didn't see nothing, couldn't understand nothing. She or he wasn't a woman of God. They didn't teach you this, but what you left there was a legacy for someone to build upon. Yeah. I may not live to see the whole lot of the church built that I have, but I'm going to have a voice to be echoing for the rest of the days to come. And that's how you have to see a young man, young woman who be taking over or walking into someone else's work. The men here on here, the bishop, apostle said, my son is going to come in and be the campus pastor. Thank God he was able to watch him grow and know that he was able to do it. Yeah. To Bishop Pitts, you know, his pastor saw something in him that he didn't see at the time, but he saw enough to know that he could do it. Well, this is for someone you didn't know what you're going to do. You just put your resume in, and you got that work. Yeah. And when you get the work, you got to do the research on that work, and you got to do the research to understand the suffering and the pain to went into that woman's heart, that man's heart that built that platform. And when you learn that, you'll know that the people there are precious. Don't throw away their dream. Don't throw away their vision. Show them how you embrace that vision and the dream that was left there, that you can build what God gives you as an extension to yours.
Amen.
Wow.
Wow. You hit a home run and close this out. And listen, you're gonna start a bonfire on here and we out of time. Listen, man, we got to continue that on our next segment. But I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I'm respectful of your time. I try to operate in integrity in everything I do. And I'm so thankful. Hey, this has been another edition, another talk where RAM speaks. I'm so thankful. I appreciate my guests that are on tonight. Again, Apostle James Thomas is on with us tonight, and we
Bless you.
thank God for him. Thank you, Apostle. We're praying
Bless
for
you.
your Pittsburgh Steelers and you. And so thank you again for joining us on tonight as we have concluded another conversation tonight with RAM Speaks. Hey, so good to have for the first time on with us tonight, Bishop Tracy Pitts. Oh man, when I tell you, he has just been an incredible blessing in my life. I'm thankful for his ministry, thankful for all that he brings and imparts into my life. I appreciate you, man. Love you. Thank you for joining us tonight. And finally, that's right, the seer of the group, the seer, the prophet himself of the group, Dr. Kenneth L. Pearman. And I got to share some things with you later on what God revealed to me about our relationship. And I just thank God so much for you, man. You have no idea. Thank you for pushing. Thank you for your words. Thank you for the impartation. I appreciate you more than you know. So again, thank you, Bishop Pearman, for being with us tonight. Hey, and we'll see you on another edition of RAM Speaks. Join us next week at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. We're going to be back on here again. Hey, this is the RAM experience. Nobody thought it could come to pass. God did. And we're so excited about it. Inside, you'll find we have the RAM Cafe where you can get sandwiches, you can have coffee. There is candy, there are muffins and snacks that are available for you. And then we also have our vendors that are set up, but you got to be a part of the ministry. We've got apparel that's back there. We've got bracelets that are back there. We've got t-shirts that are back there. All types of things. You just got to come to experience the RAM experience.
Sometimes we kind of run in and run out of church and we don't get a chance to just sit down and have a cup of coffee or a sandwich or a piece of cake with one another and just to get to know one another. And that's what New Hope is all about. It's about friends, family, and love, and we love fellowship.
I'm so excited to be a part of this inaugural season of the R.A.M experience. I would admonish any business owners, if you want to get your products in the hands of people, join the R.A.M ministry. And also, if you're not a member of the church, speak to someone so that you can be a part of this amazing ministry and then venture off and become a business owner as well.